Hello everybody and welcome back to Scrap Mechanic Survival. Today I want to show you how to make this miner vehicle. It's not that complicated to make. It has 5 drills that I can make spin with the 1 button, and I can bring them to the ground with the 2. And there's also 2 on top. You really don't need them, but it's nice to have just a few extra. And it's I don't know what I did differently this time, but it's just hella effective. I think it helps a bit that it has a bit of weight, so it stays in contact with the rocks, which is really nice. And sometimes it helps to press the 2 button, bring the drills up. That makes it just gives it a bit of a different angle, and I don't know, it just works, and it's really nice. And it's actually pretty fun to mine with this vehicle because, well, mostly just because it works and it's not a pain in the rear. It's also not a problem to do these little mounds. I've done a bit bigger mounds. That's fine too. If it gets really steep, then it will start sliding around because it is a heavy boy. But yeah, there's so many nodes in the there's so many nodes in the world. Usually, if I don't feel like doing one because it's too steep, I just skip it. The world is so big. Especially if you have a flyer, it's so easy to find other nodes. So yeah, let me just demolish this, and then I'll head back to base. I've done enough grinding for today, and then I'll show you how to make it. You can see we also have some saw blades on the back because I took down an entire forest. The saw blades also work pretty well. I feel like I've maybe figured out how to cut down trees the most efficient way, at least on the vehicle, without having some sort of giant tree demolishing machine. And it's fine, it's good, but it's not as fast as grinding down these rocks, sadly. But all in all, it's a pretty satisfying vehicle to use. I also put the wheels on some suspension, so if I press 4 and 5, it raises everything. It's mostly just because sometimes rocks get caught under your car, and it's just a faster way to get off. It's not an essential part. If you don't want to use those, that's fine. Keep it a bit simpler, keep the frame rates up. But sometimes it's nice to be able to just raise the rear and get a bit of a different angle on a rock that's in a bit of a ditch or something. It's a nice feature. So yeah, I've been doing this most of the day. I wanted to make sure that it actually keeps working, because sometimes I have a mining vehicle and it works fine for half an hour, and then suddenly it stops. Whatever you do, rocks just will not be demolished, and I don't know what it is. It's just something that's always been very tricky in Scrap Mechanic Survival. They have definitely improved it with an update like well over a year ago, I think. But yeah, it just keeps on working. I don't know why. As I say that, I can't seem to get this one. Let's try a bit of a different angle. There we go. Yeah, so it's not perfect, nothing ever is, but it's nice, it's fun to use, it's simple, and it's not too expensive to make. I use a controller to drive the drills. I did have to upgrade the saddle quite a few times because I used this I used this extra steering support to make the steering a bit more rigid, because it's such a heavy vehicle. It became a bit floppy before I added that. So you do need to connect 8 steering bearings and 5 buttons. So I think I have a level 4 seat or something. That takes some component kits. And yeah, you need a level 5 controller or an engine, whatever you prefer. I used to have this one. I used to have an extra engine for the drills, but yeah, I also had a controller. It's free energy, it has a bit more torque. It doesn't really matter, it's just whatever you prefer. So let's finish this up. One thing, it's actually, so we have a collector, two collectors and a refiner. It actually can't keep up. It's already, I think they're both full, and we still have like, I don't know, about 10 rods here to pick up. So if you want to do this efficiently, it would be nice to have a second person that's also in a vehicle with two collectors and a refiner. I think that should keep up just fine. So I guess it means it's drilling very effectively, but also it means it's not really refining fast enough. Sometimes I just wait for it and I go and get a cup of coffee, stretch. I'm not in a hurry. I take it slow, so I don't mind, or I pick some flowers. But if you want to be at peak efficiency, you're gonna want either more collectors on you, or yeah, think of something. But at least the main problem, getting the rocks broken down, is solved with this problem, with this vehicle. So I like it a lot, and let me just wait for this to be done. I'll jump cut to when I'm back at the base, and I'll show you how to make it. Alright, we're back at base, or pretty close to it actually, it's over there, doesn't matter. And I duplicated the vehicle and I took it apart a bit. I thought that was the easiest and quickest way to show you how to make it. I did use dev commands to import and export it, but I will delete this save after. So it's just a slab of metal. I made it 24 blocks long, so that's one stretch of 16, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more. And it is 15 blocks wide, because we wanted it to be, I wanted it to be an odd number. And that gives us just about enough space to put 2 of these collectors in. Now what I did is in the front, there's 3 blocks, 3 rows extra, just for some added weight on the front. So this is 3 by 15. And then I made some holes. Let's quickly measure them. I think they're 7 by 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 2. Oh, like this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 by 6. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you have one row here, then a hole of 6 by 6, then another row, then 6 by 6, and another row of metal. And then I put some extra metal here, just 2 layers here, just to make it a bit easier to place them at the right height. Because if you just make a hole, it's a bit finicky. And now I can just aim it at the top row, a bit high in the top row, and then it should go 1 block below. Actually, no, we want it lower. Yeah, I guess, well, it depends on how much ground clearance you want. This is a bit too low. How about, yeah, something like this. You want to be able to see just a bit of the material underneath, and then it picks up stuff very reliably. So yeah, let's take this out. Actually, no, let's leave them in, and I'll show you the steering. Something like this. Why is it moving around? I guess because free bearings. Now for the steering, I may have already mentioned we let me just take it apart here. We wanted it to be a bit stronger because, well, it's a heavy vehicle, so we have steering bearings here and here, and then to here I added a corner piece going down, then another bearing, then a corner piece going in, then some straight pipes. I took some of the long ones and I think one extra short one. Yep. Let's place that back. And more of the long ones. And weld this to this block. So now we have 4 bearings taking care of the steering. That just means more rigidity and yeah, more power. So that's that really helps. I did the same in the front. And then underneath the blocks, let me take out some suspensions. Suspensions, I mean pistons, of course. I have 2 level 3 pistons. Level 1 is not powerful enough to raise the vehicle. Level 2 will do. I think it only raises them like 2 blocks. And I think it also helps to boost the speed for more power. And yeah, I have them at level 3. Actually, I might want them even stronger, but nah, I don't really care too much. I don't use it all that much. It's just nice to have in a pinch. And it's not like I drive around with it raised. Now behind this, behind these 2 collectors, you see, or in between actually, I have this pillar here. It's just some, what is this, extruded metal. It's the lighter metal stuff. And I have 4 warehouse lights, because I hate the night in this game. It's, the days are getting longer again, and it's just impossible to play at night. Even on an overcast day, it's kind of annoying. So I put a lot of lights on all my vehicles now. I do cheat these in. That's the only cheat I use. And of course, now for the building, I just duplicate these because it just makes the game playable. And today I also modded the day-night cycle, so that also helps. Either will do. So you find these in the little guard booths or guard posts, well, the little boxes at the entrance of a warehouse. So you don't actually have to enter the warehouse. You can just approach it, and where the road goes onto warehouse terrain, there you find these at on the ceiling. They're really nice. Actually, I don't think they provide much more light. I just like the look of them. So here in the back we have the seat. I put it like this. I left 2 blocks, and then I placed some tiny little pillars for the seat. Of course, you could place the seat directly onto the metal, but it just makes it a bit easier to get in and out. Like if you're on this side of the vehicle, I can just kind of jump and hop in without the chest being in the way. So that really helps. In front we put 3 controllers. This controller level 5 is for powering the drills or the saw blades. I have this controller to raise the drills on the front, and I have this one to raise or lower the saws in the rear. Of course, you could use the same controller for that, but I wanted it on different switches. I have 5 switches here, depending on your setup, more or less will do. We're gonna place somewhere around here. Doesn't really matter too much. A gas canister. We're gonna need an engine. I recommend an upgraded one because it saves so much on fuel. Connect that. Connect the engine to the seats. We're gonna connect a whole lot of bearings. Is that right? Yeah, to the driver's seat, just for steering. It's always a little funny attaching the bearings for steering. The normal bearings in the front always need to be reversed, but the ones at the bottom don't. And in the rear it's the other way around, so only flip those at the bottom. Let me double check. Left and right. Nice. It doesn't drive amazingly with this strong steering in the back. It's a little till happy. It's really nice when you're drilling, but not so much when you're cruising. So you can always like attach them to a controller if you gotta drive a long distance, or you can just learn to get used to it. So now let's add the refine bot. I made a stripe over the middle just to make it a bit easier to align it. Oh. Let's see, turn it around. I think if this lines up with that, that's good. This looks good. Yep, that's exactly how I want it. Now, of course, we want a chest. I have a lot of stuff in this one. I put the chest like this, in a way that's as compact as possible, because there's only a little bit of metal here, and I don't want this to collide with whatever attachment we have here, in our case the drills. Now if you don't want to add the drills, that's fine, of course. What I would recommend is taking out some metal and just placing a whole slab of metal like this. Leave a bit of space for the steering. Just add some weight. That just helps keep it a bit stable. However, I will be adding the drills, so I will remove this. It's not too precise how much you have to add. It's just add some weight, or some extra chests, I guess, could also work. Talking about extra chests, I always bring 2 chests because sometimes I mine a lot. I think it's kind of, I hate mining, but I kind of like the grinding now. Sometimes I often put 2 chests right here, make them stand up a bit so they're compact, so I can put extra minables here. It just means you can go out longer. I always take like 8 stacks of about 8 stacks of extra fuel, and that lasts a long time. Damn it, where are you going? I guess I thought, oh yeah, I did hook up the engine, but I didn't hook up the engine to the wheels, so it's all still free floating. I guess that's the next thing to do then. Alrighty, engine to the wheels. And this one and this one. And flip those on the left, like usual. Now let's see, let's attach these switches to the steering. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm gonna attach 5 to the suspension in the rear and 4 to the front. Did I? Wait a minute, why are these already? Oh, that's right, I never removed those, so they were still connected to the switch. That makes sense. And I guess 1, 2, and 3 are still attached to these controllers then, yeah. So the level 5 we want to attach to switch 1, 2, and 3 to the other ones respectively. I use 2 to raise the front, but you can't see that now because it's not connected. And I use 3 to raise the rear. Sometimes around this vehicle I get some lag spikes, and then whoop, it's gone again. It's it might just be my PC. So to these bearings we're gonna attach some blocks. I'm also gonna attach a block in the middle. I'm gonna weld that, and I'm gonna do the same in the rear. You can already see there's an angle set, and I'll show you how I set the angles in the controller. Let's weld this and let's weld this. I actually also have these blocks here, but that's a bit unnecessary. Oh, this vehicle is going away. It's heading out too. Man, what a chaos. So let's take the drills back and cut this off, and I'll show you the dimensions of that. So yeah, let's go to the controllers first. Of course, you can't see anything here, only when we attach the drills. We set this to loop and Alt to 360. The controller for the front, by default, it raises the drills by 15 degrees, and when I activate it, they go down by 42. It's not that precise, you just want them really close to the ground, so no chunks of rock go underneath. But also you don't want it to push too hard on the ground that your front wheels lose grip. That would also not be ideal. So yeah, this piece of metal is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks long, and I'm actually not entirely sure how wide. It's 17 wide, and as you can see, it kind of steps in. That just gives the front wheels some clearance to move. to rotate, to steer. And then we divide these 5 drills evenly. The outer ones are exactly on the last block. The middle is in the middle, as you would think. And I put this little bar here. I actually want to place this back one further. I think that would work better. Because sometimes rocks get behind here. This isn't essential at all, but it's nice. Something to experiment with. I actually I've also been thinking about pointing them up. But it doesn't matter if a rock gets on top of right here, it still works. So now we're gonna weld this. We're gonna take the middle and we'll weld it to this middle here. There we go. Do the same to the rear. No, first I'll show you the dimensions. I guess this is probably also, no, this is narrower, I think. Yeah, this is 16, 15, 14, 13 wide. 13 by 4. And then I have 2 rows here, and then I cut out 2 rows. And I leave 2 rows here. I added a suspension, a sport suspension, and I left it on the default stiffness. So that's 1 below off. Because I haven't demonstrated this yet. It's really finicky drilling. You want really light pressure on the wood. So if you make this too stiff, yeah, you don't want to push hard on the wood with the saw blades. So that's why I added a suspension. It does definitely help a bit. So yeah, we have the suspension, then a block, then I have 1 saw blade. I mean, first a bearing, 1 saw blade, then a bearing, then a whole bunch of saw blades. And from the other side I also did bearing, saw blade, bearing, extra saw blades. This means you can have the inner ones, they spin faster than the outer 2. And I feel like that does help a bit too, especially with the controller. They're not super fast, but the double speed really helps. So yeah, that's also not that hard to build. Let's just connect this and I'll do a quick demonstration of some tree cutting. Normally I like to keep the trees around my base pretty let's add some power here. I normally like to keep the trees around my base, but this is a copy of the world anyways, so let's take this bearing and this bearing, set them both to 360, loop, max speed. Let's press 1. I always in the past rotated the saw blades the other way around to pull it in, but this actually works better for me. I'll show you why. Now let's also connect these. It doesn't actually matter if you power both sides, but I don't know, it feels correct. 360, 360, put it on the lift because controllers are a bit wonky like that. Now let's see if they fight against each other. Yes, they do, so we're just gonna flip both of these. That should work, but sometimes putting it on the lift again works. And yeah, that works. Nice. So I typically cut it down with a hammer. I weld a bunch, often a bunch in a row. I make sure they're all on a very flat level, a very flat floor, plane, whatever. Because that really matters a lot, especially if you're trying to go up a hill. It's a real pain. Oh, let's take it this way. Turn on the saw, bring it down, align it a bit better, and then we just gently push against it. You kind of just want it to touch and not actually push. You want to see the sparks, but if I now press harder, against the wood, it actually works less often. Sometimes it works, sometimes you could push all you want, but if it's being tricky, it's actually going quite easy now. But if it's not working, try pushing softer. Like if the springs are properly compressing like they are now, you might be pushing too hard. That's what I found to be sort of the trick to grinding down logs. It's I've been spending a lot of time experimenting, and yeah, this works well for me. So what I often do is I weld a whole bunch of trees in a row, make it a very long single tree, and yeah, go through it like this. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.